It started with a hospital form and ended with a stranger living in my house. I'm not even sure how to start the story without sounding insane. Maybe because it does sound insane. But I swear every single word is true. I'm Ethan, 34, married. Or at least I thought I was married. I've known Rachel for 6 years, loved her for 5, married her for 3. She's smart, funny, compassionate in all the ways that make people trust her instantly. I used to call her the human comfort blanket. People just told her things. She had that kind of face. And she had secrets too. But I didn't realize how many until last Tuesday when I took her to the ER for a sprained ankle. Simple enough. She tripped on the curb coming out of the bakery. Laughed it off at first, but by the time we got home, her foot was the size of a grapefruit. So off we went. She was in pain, so I did the paperwork while she elevated her foot and flirted with the triage nurse like she always does when she's nervous. I remember smiling to myself as I wrote her info on the intake sheet. Name, DOB, insurance, emergency contact. All the usual. But when I handed it to the nurse, she blinked at the screen, frowned, and asked me to double-check something. Her date of birth, she said. You put August 14th, 1991? Yeah? I said. Can you confirm the last 4 of her SSN? I did. She frowned harder. Then she looked at Rachel and said, Ma'am, are you sure this is your information? Rachel laughed, brushing it off. Of course. Why? The nurse hesitated. Because according to our records, someone with that exact birthday and social was admitted last year under the name Leah Benson. I felt my stomach drop. Rachel blinked. That's impossible. That's not me. The nurse apologized, said it must have been a clerical error, and moved on. But I couldn't move on. Because that name? Leah Benson? I'd never heard it before in my life. Later that night, after we got home and Rachel was propped on the couch with her foot on a pillow, I casually brought it up again. Babe, weird about that name mix-up, right? She shrugged, not looking up from her phone. Hospital records are always messed up. Yeah, but same birthday? Same social? That's more than a typo. She smiled, tight-lipped. You're spiraling again. That phrase. You're spiraling again. She used it every time I asked too many questions. Every time I pushed just a little too hard. But this time I didn't let it go. While she was asleep, I opened my laptop. I typed in Leah Benson and her birthday. At first, nothing. Then I added the county name. One result popped up, a high school yearbook photo from a school in Idaho. Same graduation year as Rachel. And the girl? She looked exactly like my wife. Different haircut. No makeup. But the same nose. Same jaw. Same smile. I clicked on the photo and zoomed in. There it was, Leah Benson. I felt my pulse spike. My chest was tight. I didn't know what I was looking at. A cousin? A twin? But the more I looked, the more I realized something terrifying. This wasn't someone who looked like Rachel. This was Rachel, but under a different name. The next morning, I printed the photo. Slid it under her coffee mug before she woke up. When she saw it, her face drained of color. Who is this? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Rachel stared at the photo for a long time. Then she looked up at me and said, I can explain. But her voice cracked, and I knew whatever she was about to say, it wasn't going to make things better. Only worse. Because the woman I married? She wasn't just hiding secrets. She was hiding herself. And I was about to find out just how deep the rabbit hole went. I stared at her across the table, the printed photo between us like a crime scene. You said your name is Rachel and Walker, I said. You've said that for 6 years. So who the hell is Leah Benson? Rachel, or Leah, or whoever the hell she was, didn't speak right away. Just picked at the corner of the photo like if she peeled it enough, she could erase herself from it. Then finally, she's no one. She doesn't exist anymore. That sentence scared me more than any confession could have. I need the truth, I said, more forcefully this time. Now. She exhaled, long and trembling. I changed my name when I turned 18. I legally filed the paperwork, changed my identity, left everything behind. It wasn't illegal. Why? I asked. Why the hell would someone erase themselves like that? Rachel swallowed hard. Because I had to. Her hands were shaking. I was born Leah Rebecca Benson. Grew up in Idaho. My mom was a hoarder and an addict. My dad was a ghost, came around once a year to threaten us and steal what little money we had. By the time I was 16, I was skipping school just to survive. Stealing food. Sleeping in friends' basements. She looked at me, eyes glassy now. I watched a girl from my class overdose in a school bathroom. Watched another get pregnant by a teacher who never faced charges. That town? It eats girls alive. I listened, stunned into silence. So I ran, she said. I waited until I turned 18, applied for a legal name change, moved 2 states away, and started over. Got my GED, worked 3 jobs, clawed my way into a community college. And I never looked back. I should have felt sympathy. Part of me did. But mostly, I felt rage. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, barely above a whisper. Why lie to me for 6 years? Because I finally felt safe, she said. And I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want you to look at me like you were right now. Like I'm a problem to solve. You're not a problem, I snapped. You're a stranger. A stranger sleeping in my bed, holding my hand, raising my kid. That last word slipped out before I could stop it. She froze. What do you mean, my kid? And that's when it hit me how far gone I already was. I'd done the math, the dates, the whispers. I'd seen our daughter's birth certificate again last night, and now I wasn't even sure the name on that was real. I backed away from the table. I need air. Ethan, please, she said, standing on one foot, gripping the chair for balance. I didn't lie to hurt you. I lied to survive. I didn't answer. I walked outside, shut the door behind me, and sat in the driveway like a man who just survived a car crash. Because that's what it felt like my whole life had slammed into a wall I didn't know was there. That night, I pulled every document I could find. Marriage license, birth certificates, bank forms, her college application. One detail kept repeating: the name Rachel and Walker didn't exist in any public records before 2010. Not one school, not one medical file, not one photo. It was like she sprang into existence at age 18. But Leah Benson? She had a trail. Arrest record at 15 for petty theft. Expelled for fighting. 3 CPS visits on file. All confirmed through county databases. I found a forum post from 2009, her username attached to a thread about surviving toxic families. Her profile picture, grainy and young, was her. It was her. But what really shook me was finding a public genealogy tree. It listed Leah Rebecca Benson and her daughter, born 2021. Not named Lily. Not even close. I stared at that tree for over an hour, trying to figure out who submitted it. Trying to understand what else I didn't know. Until I got a message on the site. Hi. I saw you view the Benson tree. How are you connected to Leah? She's my sister. That was the moment everything snapped. Because she told me she was an only child. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I clicked on the profile. The user's name? Madeline Benson. Her bio read, searching for my sister Leah. She disappeared in 2010. Last known location, Boise, Idaho. And under relatives? A mother, a brother, a daughter, and a note: if you know anything, please reach out. She left without a trace. I sat there shaking, reading that message over and over, because that meant Rachel didn't just leave her past behind. She ran from it, and someone out there was still looking for her, still calling her Leah. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake next to Rachel, no, Leah, with the glow of my phone burning my face, her sister's message stuck in my inbox like a loaded gun I couldn't stop staring at. She slept like a stone, like people do when they're used to running. When they've built walls so high, they forget what's on the other side. At 3:18 a.m., I replied, Hi Madeline. I think I know where she is. But I need to know what happened before she left. No name. No details. Just a test. 10 minutes later, she wrote back. Is she okay? Where is she? Please tell me she's alive. And with that, I knew for sure. Rachel never told them she was alive. She hadn't just changed her name. She'd buried it. The next morning, I made breakfast like everything was fine. Eggs, toast, apple slices cut the way Lily likes them, skin off, edges round. Rachel came into the kitchen in sweatpants, foot still bandaged, hair in a messy bun. She kissed my cheek and said, Thanks, babe. This is sweet. I watched her bite into a slice of toast. How many mornings like this had we shared? How many lies were baked into every omelet, every smile? I played normal, because I needed time. When she left for her physical therapy appointment, I checked the calendar invite. Therapist's name, Dr. Karen Voss. I searched it. No such doctor in our zip code. No Voss listed under our insurance. My stomach dropped. At 10:03 a.m., I followed her. I stayed back, for cars behind, watching her red Camry weave through traffic. She wasn't heading to any clinic. She was going west, into the next town over. Toward a residential neighborhood. Toward a little white house with a swing set in the yard and a for sale sign in the grass. She parked, got out, limped up to the door like she'd been there before. And she knocked. A man opened it. Mid-30s. Scruffy. Holding a baby in one arm. He smiled at her like he knew her. She walked in without hesitation. I parked across the street and sat there with my heart in my throat, pulse hammering so hard it felt like it was shaking the car. 20 minutes passed, then 30. At 45, I got out, walked up to the porch, and rang the bell. The man opened it, blinking like I'd interrupted a nap. Can I help you? I didn't know what to say, so I just said the truth. I'm looking for my wife. He frowned. You're what? Rachel, I said. Or Leah. Or whatever name she used here. His face shifted instantly, from confused to cautious. I think you should leave, he said quietly. I'm not here to start anything, I said, hands raised. I just need answers. He hesitated, then stepped outside, shutting the door behind him. I haven't seen her in over a year, he said. She just showed up today. Said she wanted to check on the baby. Your baby? He nodded. Ours, technically. I felt the world tilt. What? She lived here for almost a year. Said her name was Erica. We met at a shelter downtown. She was different back then. Quiet, paranoid, but she was kind and scared. He looked at me then, really looked. You said she's your wife? I nodded, dumbly. For 3 years. He exhaled slowly. She left us. Disappeared one night with no warning. I didn't even know she was pregnant until she was gone. I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. She named the baby Mia, he said. But she's mine. I got a paternity test after she left, just to be sure. And today, I asked, what did she say? That she wanted to know if we were okay. That she missed us, but not enough to stay. He looked at the window behind him, like he could still see her through it. Then he handed me a piece of paper. She wrote this, said if anyone ever came looking, I should give it to them. I unfolded it. 3 lines. I'm sorry I keep becoming different people. I never meant to hurt anyone. But the truth was never safe. There was no signature, no name, just the faint imprint of a teardrop on the corner. I drove home in a fog, the note on the passenger seat like a ghost. When I got back, Rachel was cooking dinner like nothing had happened. Lily was dancing to music in the living room, singing along to some Disney song. Rachel looked up and smiled. You're home early. I nodded. She leaned in to kiss me, and I let her, because I still didn't know what I was going to do. But I did know one thing for sure. I wasn't the only man she'd lied to, and I wasn't the only child she'd left behind. That night, I stared at the ceiling long after Rachel had gone to bed. Her breathing was even, peaceful. Mine wasn't. I kept picturing the man from the White House, the baby in his arms, the name he'd said so easily, Erica. Another alias, another life. I kept thinking about the girl in the yearbook, the hospital form, the sister on the genealogy site still hoping her sibling was alive. And worst of all, I kept picturing Lily, our daughter. Except now I wasn't sure if our meant what I thought it did. The next morning, I took Lily to daycare myself, something Rachel usually insisted on doing. I said she looked tired, said she deserved to sleep in. She smiled and kissed my cheek, murmuring something about being lucky to have me. That almost made me laugh. After drop-off, I didn't go to work. I drove straight to the county records office. I asked for everything under the name Leah Rebecca Benson. Birth certificate, school records, juvenile court documents, CPS filings, and slowly a picture formed. Leah was born in 1991 to a woman named Donna Benson. No father listed. Multiple reports of domestic violence. One hospital record detailed a broken arm at age 9. The file said it was inconclusive, but the attending nurse had scribbled a note in the margin. Child said she fell. Didn't look like a fall. The girl had vanished from records around 2010, until a name change was filed, sealed, but traceable. From Leah Benson to Rachel Walker. I felt sick. She hadn't changed her name to escape embarrassment. She'd changed it to survive. And I wanted to believe that was the end of it. But then I did something I never thought I'd do. I ordered a DNA test. One for me, one for Lily. I told myself it was about health history, about being prepared. It was a lie. A week later, the results came in. And I swear, the moment I saw the percentage on the screen, I stopped breathing. 0% biological match. Lily wasn't mine. Not even close. I sat on the floor, laptop open on the coffee table, my heartbeat pounding in my ears like war drums. Couldn't wrap my head around it. We'd been trying for months before she got pregnant. We'd tracked ovulation, taken supplements, even saw a fertility doctor. And now this? I confronted her that night. I got Lily's DNA test back. Her face didn't twitch. Not at first. Then she did something unexpected. She nodded. I figured you would, she said quietly. I blinked. That's it? That's all you have to say? No, she said. I have a lot to say, but none of it will change what you feel. Start talking, I said, voice tight. Now. She sat down on the couch, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the floor. I was pregnant before we got married, she said. You didn't know. I didn't even know for sure. There were complications. I laughed bitterly. Complications? Like a secret baby. She winced. I thought it was yours. I hoped it was yours, but I knew there was a chance it wasn't. Who? I asked. Tell me who. She looked up, and her voice came out barely a whisper. A man I stayed with when I was in Oregon, after Erica, before Rachel. I don't even know his last name. My jaw clenched. So you lied to me. Let me believe. Let me love her, thinking she was mine. She is yours, she said fiercely. You're the one who held her when she had night terrors. You're the one who taught her to ride a bike. You're the one she calls daddy. My voice cracked. That doesn't make it right. She was crying now. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought maybe I could rewrite the story. Be someone new. Be better. But you weren't, I said. You just got better at hiding it. She didn't deny it. I didn't sleep in our bed that night. I stayed on the couch, staring at the ceiling again, wondering if anything in our life was ever real. And then I remembered Madeline, the sister she left behind. I opened my laptop and wrote her back. She's alive. She goes by Rachel now. And there's something you need to know. I attached the most recent photo I had of Rachel and Lily. Sent it. Then I waited. Madeline wrote back within the hour. Her message was short, terrified, grateful, desperate. Oh my God, that's her. That's Leah. Please, can we talk? We set a call for that evening. I waited until Lily was asleep and Rachel, if that was even her name anymore, had gone for a walk to clear her head. I sat in the garage with my phone pressed to my ear, heart pounding like I was about to confess a murder. Madeline answered on the second ring. Hi, is she okay? She's alive, I said. But that's about the only thing I can say for sure. Madeline was crying almost immediately. She disappeared on my 19th birthday. No note, no goodbye, just gone. She was my best friend. She practically raised me. And then she vanished. I swallowed hard. She told me your mother was abusive. That's putting it lightly, Madeline whispered. She protected me from the worst of it. Took beatings for me. Got arrested once trying to steal groceries when Mom spent our food stamps on pills. My chest tightened. She ran because she thought if she stayed, she'd end up dead, Madeline continued. Or worse, just like our mother. Did you try to find her? I asked. For years, she said. I filed missing person reports. Hired a private investigator when I turned 21. Nothing ever stuck. She changed her name so thoroughly, even the PI gave up. I hesitated. She's married. To me. We have a daughter. Silence. Then, is she happy? I didn't know how to answer that. I don't know who she is anymore, I said honestly. Madeline asked if she could see her, talk to her. I told her I didn't know. That things were complicated. That Rachel, Leah, whatever name she wore today, wasn't exactly the open arms type. But I promised I'd try. After the call, I sat in the garage with my head in my hands. She hadn't just left behind a bad home. She'd left behind someone who loved her, someone who needed her, and she never looked back. That night I asked her, "Do you remember Madeline?" She froze mid-step in the hallway. Her voice came out quiet. "How do you know that name?" I talked to her. Her face went pale. "She's alive?" she whispered. "She's okay?" I nodded. "More than okay. She's been looking for you for over a decade." She covered her mouth, eyes welling. "I didn't think she'd remember me." "She never forgot you," I said. "She said you saved her." Rachel sat down like her legs gave out. I thought I was doing the right thing. Leaving, giving her a shot without me dragging her down. "You didn't give her a chance," I snapped. "You gave her a void." She didn't argue. I softened. "She wants to see you. Talk to you." Rachel's eyes filled. "I don't know if I can." "She doesn't want an apology," I said. "She just wants you back." Rachel nodded slowly, like every movement hurt. Later that week, they met at a park, neutral ground. I watched from the car as they hugged, both of them crying like kids. Madeline held her so tightly I thought they'd both collapse. Rachel, Leah, buried her face in her sister's shoulder and didn't let go for a long, long time. It should have been beautiful. It was beautiful, but I couldn't enjoy it because I knew what I had to do next. That night, after Lily was asleep and Rachel was in the shower, I packed a bag, laptop, passport, a week's worth of clothes. She came into the bedroom toweling her hair. "Where are you going?" she asked. "I need time," I said. "Away from here. Away from everything." She nodded like she'd been expecting it. "I get it," she said softly. "I'd probably do the same." "I don't hate you," I said. "But I can't love you right now. Not until I know who you really are. Not until you know." She didn't cry. She just stepped aside, letting me pass. But as I reached the door, she said one last thing. "There's one more thing you don't know." I turned. She looked me in the eyes. "Lily, she's not my first child." I stood frozen by the door, suitcase in hand, her words still ricocheting in my skull. "Lily's not my first child." "What do you mean?" I asked, but I already knew. Somewhere deep in the pit of my stomach, I knew the story wasn't done unraveling. Rachel, or Leah, or Erica, or whoever she'd been then, walked slowly to the edge of the bed and sat down like someone about to break open their own ribcage. "There was a baby. Before you. Before Lily. Before all of this." Her voice shook, but her eyes were steady. She was done lying. Finally. I was 20, living under a fake name, staying with a man who thought he loved me. I didn't love him, but I wanted to. He gave me shelter, safety. I owed him everything. She looked up at me, pleading for understanding. When I found out I was pregnant, I panicked. I wasn't ready. I was still running. I didn't even know who I was, let alone how to raise a child. I sat down on the edge of the dresser, every muscle tight. "So what did you do?" I asked. She swallowed hard. I gave her up. No adoption agency. No papers. I handed her to a woman who worked at the shelter, someone who'd been trying to adopt for years. She just lost a placement. Her name was Melissa. She was kind. And stable. Everything I wasn't. "And you never looked back?" I asked. "I wrote her letters," she said quietly. "Every birthday. I sent them to a P.O. box Melissa set up. I didn't expect replies. I just wanted her to know. I never forgot." My hands trembled. "So Lily wasn't your second chance," I said, realization dawning. "She was your atonement." Rachel nodded. "I thought if I could raise her right, love her right, maybe I could undo what I did." Silence sat heavy between us. Then I asked the only question that mattered. "Does Lily know?" She shook her head. "Of course not. She's too young." "No," I said more firmly. "Does she know who you are? Who any of us are?" Rachel looked down, voice barely audible. "No. And I don't know if I ever want her to." I stood up, pacing. "So what now? You keep spinning these new lives until one finally sticks." "I don't know," she whispered. "All I've ever done is survive. I don't know how to just be." I looked at her, really looked, and I saw something I hadn't seen before. Not just fear. Not just guilt. Grief. She was grieving the life she never got to live. The mother she never became. The sister she ran from. The woman she pretended to be for me. And somehow buried under all that wreckage was the person I once loved. But love wasn't enough. Not anymore. "I can't do this," I said finally. She flinched like I'd struck her. "Not like this," I added. "I need time. And Lily deserves the truth. One version of it. Not 5. Rachel nodded slowly. "You're right. I don't know if we'll come back from this," I said. "Me neither," she whispered. I grabbed my bag, opened the door, and just before I stepped out, she said one last thing. "If you ever meet her, my first daughter, tell her I never stopped loving her." I just didn't know how to stay. I didn't turn around. I just walked out of the house where nothing had ever been real. Except, maybe, the child I'd tucked in every night. And the terrifying, beautiful truth that sometimes the person you love the most is a complete stranger.